Hello, and welcome to this month's challenge. This is a fashion design support group, and our mission is that we support designers that are working inside sustainable and upcycled parameters to make commercially viable garments. And our support includes cross-promotion, education, collaboration, emotional support, goal setting, accountability, info sharing, opportunity sharing, friendship, anything we can do to help each other out. That's what we're here for. Today we have our guest, Amanda Riley, and she is the founder, designer, teacher, and writer of a textbook at The Fashion Rebellion, The Fashion Factory. And The Fashion Factory book is her book. And we found her because we were thinking of becoming the Fashion Rebellion. And look, she was doing exactly what we want to do. So it seemed like it would be brilliant to have her here for a conversation with us.
Hi, my name is Amanda Riley, and I live in London, and I'm a fashion designer. And the reason why I went into fashion was because when I was 8 years old, my grandmother, God rest her soul, handed me her sewing machine as something to do and some fabric. And I made my first dress on that machine when I was 8 years old. And so I was kind of hooked straight away. And it was also at a time, quite a difficult time in my life, because at school, I'd gone to a different school, and I was getting bullied quite badly at school. So the sewing just came along at the moment where this bullying had started for like 4 years. So it was, you know, it was a real savior for me, because really it was the only thing that kind of made me feel good about myself as well. I was like a very creative kid, and I wasn't a particularly, it was the 70s, you know, it was like, it was quite hardcore, the school I was at. And so I was probably a bit different. And so I really, I just sewed and sewed all the time once I started, you know, and I loved it. And the other savior for me was my other grandparents. They lived in the countryside, and they had like a small holding, their own small holding farm. So if I wasn't sewing on my machine, then I had the English countryside and nature, and it was really amazing. So I was very lucky to have those two things. And when I look back now, I realize this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, because the environmental side of it, and obviously starting on the sewing machine when I was 8 years old, and my grand saying, oh, you could be a fashion designer. I was like, really? I could do that? And I just went for it then, because I just thought, well, I mean, I love drawing anyway, and my drawing ability is quite strong. So I also felt that it was, it just gave me something to look forward to leave that town that I lived in, and, you know, and something that I could go out and do that I just loved and was so creative, and yeah, just something to head for, really, you know.
So let's start out with Amanda. Can you tell us just a little bit about what your goals are and what your business is?
Okay, so, well, I always worked in the fashion industry as a fashion designer ever since I graduated. And then I was freelance for many years. So I felt that I was just adding to the problem of a toxic industry. And after my son was born, I just felt like I can't really do this anymore. So I actually turned down some big positions in the fashion industry. And sat in my loft for 3 years painting, because I thought, well, I want to be in fashion, but I don't want to add to the problem. And then I came up with the idea of starting my own fashion school. And that was the first time I'd actually been in front of a machine since I'd been a student, because unfortunately working in the fashion industry, you don't get to do the creative bit, so somebody else does it for you. So it was really amazing to actually complete my circle and go back to getting some machines together and putting posters on trees, and I had loads of kids turn up on the first day. And so that was in 2009. So since then I've been running weekly workshops for 9 to 16-year-olds, and teaching them how to upcycle, how to do some bit of basic pattern cutting, how to embroider, and how to make their own clothes from existing clothes, really. We've done several fashion shows, and then I got approached to do the book. And I've had all sorts of interesting people on the front row at the fashion shows, which has been quite amazing. And so the thing for me is that has kept me very, very busy doing that. So I always knew that at some point, I think with upcycling also, I had to, it's almost been like my lab for over 10 years. What works, what doesn't work. And I think also for me, it was about looking at the attention span, dexterity and learning capability of each year group. So I've had to really study what children, how much they can do, how much they can remember, how the dexterity of their hands. So I've done this for a long time now, and it's sort of also been like an experiment as well. So my dream was always to be able to put together a school program that could be offered to lots of schools, almost to come up with a formula of how upcycle. And obviously, you know, it's a hard thing to come up with a formula because every piece is different. But then I was contacted by a school. So my dream was to always one day try and get it into schools, but it's actually now trialing in my first school. And the trial is going really, really well. And there's as many boys that have joined as girls. The boys want to give up boxing to do sewing. And so I've managed to, obviously COVID then got in the way, but they did start, they did almost a whole term of it. So I've actually managed to teach an entire room of 11-year-olds how to sew without being in the room. So I've done the whole thing by e-learning. So I've spent lockdown learning how to film and edit and make videos on my own for hours and hours and hours, and sometimes till 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God. But the amazing thing is that they're going to be starting the trial again at the end of February. Sorry, not February, where are we? April. And then I'm going, so once I've got the website and everything put together, then I can offer it to other schools as well. So the kids, you know, it's like, for me, we need to teach them, give them the skills for challenges that lay ahead, you know, and they spend too much time on screens. Well, the thing is, when they're learning in this way, they can still be on screen, so they're still connected, but they're actually learning to do something, and they're doing something creative. So for me, this is really my passion at the moment. Once I've got it sorted for schools, then I want to put it out to the general public as well. So that's my mission at the moment. Well, and then to do a line as well, well, I've been asked by, there's a new marketplace started for sustainable fashion, and they've approached me as one of the designers to open it. So I'm sort of gathering up my students and my ex-students to put together some pieces to launch the Fashion Rebellion label with as well. So all be made by teenagers that I've trained up, fingers crossed. So it's quite a lot going on.
Oh, that's super cool. I think we'd all be interested if you do want to make the connection in knowing about the new market for upcycle designers that you're being part of right now. Like, as I know they approached you, but they're going to open, and then maybe that's somewhere that we can share some of our work as a group. Yeah. Totally, so any other questions from the group? Let us jump in.
I just wanted to say that that's pretty amazing work that you do. I think that's something along the lines that we'd like to start doing over here, like stateside, because I know there's a ton of waste over here, but by educating the youth and the young ones about sustainability and being able to create your own garments from garments and starting them young, and even crossing the boundaries of saying it's okay for a man to sew, because there's some phenomenal male.
We lost your audio there.
that's definitely something that I could foresee something like that happening over here. Like even personally myself, with some of the youth in the community, being able to teach how to create your own things and think outside of the box and not have to spend hundreds of dollars on the newest fad, but create something amazing out of $20 that's reused.
Exactly. It's we can what is it, hashtag one of my hashtags is make waste work. I was inspired because I spent a lot of time working in India when I was working in mass production. The thing about in India is that they use every tiny piece, you know, and always have. They're the world's the world's upcyclers, actually. They use everything, you know, they can't afford not to. And so there's never any waste. Every tiny scrap is used. It's quite amazing. And I think actually, you know, this is the way forward. We're not going to have the resources left to be able to, you know, waste like we do. So I think if we can take things and then make them, use them and then make them into something better, if we extend the life of a garment by just 9 months, then we reduce its waste footprint by 20 to 30%. So anything we can take and remake, it's the way forward.
That's super cool. I just want to second what Mersaedy said when you were talking about having your program in different schools. Gosh, that's something I'd also be interested in trying to make happen here, is a connection with the schools to share some of, and you have the manual all written. Right? I thought that would be the thing that came last on my, you know, for me. And the fact that it's now, they're using it as, so they're taking all my videos and they're doing it as an after school club, but now they're going to extend it to lunchtime as well, because they've got so many kids that want to do it. And so the kids are, so I had somebody write a little theme tune for my videos, and so the kids are running around like humming the theme tune, wanting to give up other classes. And the boys have no idea that it's traditionally been, you know, a female activity. They are absolutely clueless. It's amazing. So even the boys are completely loving it. So that's so great.
I'm impressed at the age that you're doing it, that it's young and that it isn't being forced on older teenagers.
No, well, sorry,
no,
carry
go
on.
ahead.
Well, no, my classes, you know, I've not advertised my classes I've been running them for like over a decade, and I've never had to advertise. And so it's been word of mouth. And so kids that come here, you know, the 9-year-olds, they love it. And it's such a brilliant time for them to start learning, because they're like sponges and they're not afraid to make mistakes, you know. Right. It's so great. It's actually the best age for them to start to learn. They find it so exciting, but also I give them what they want. You know, I've set them, the projects that I set them are things that they, because I don't know, I'm very much, I just look at products the whole time, you know, and I think, okay, that's cool, you know. I have to be able to identify which is what they're going to be able to do. So when they come in, if I can show and they're like, whoa, yeah, I want to make this, then you know what I mean, then that's it, they're ready to do, you know. But then it's all about breaking it down, and I rip up the sewing rule books, you know. I come up with my new ways of doing things so that anybody, you know, age 8 can do it as well. So whereas I find a lot of sort of sewing kind of people, maybe they're older and they don't want to change any of the rules. But for me, you've got to move things on, otherwise the younger generation, they don't want to know.
Right. No, I just think capturing that young child who's totally capable of doing it, but most people just overlook him and go to the teenager who can follow all those rules.
No, I mean, 9-year-olds, they're brilliant. I mean, I've got 2 of my 10-year-olds. They've just started they've launched their own business. So it's, you know, it's good.
Wow.
That's a great age to start a business at, because, you know, again, you don't have necessarily expectations for how it's going to be, and you can make up your own rules.
They just decided they're going to do, upcycled bags. Everything's upcycled, and they just got on with it.
That's right on. Let's move on to our review, just so that this is fascinating. We could talk about it forever, but I know you have a whole YouTube channel where we can find out more about that. And I will be putting that link up when we post this. So if any of our designers want to find their way back to Amanda and the Fashion Factory and the Fashion Rebellion, they can. So the purpose of our review, Amanda, is mostly we're celebrating things that we've made, but we're also trying to figure out how to sell these pieces. If there are ideas that need further development to be able to hit a market, but you know, it's mostly a sharing, and we're also sharing lessons learned from each other and troubleshooting. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, super.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with Mersaedy.
So I've been sewing for quite some time, just making ceremonial shirts and dresses and items, but I recently started sewing Pendleton. And so I thought I wanted to expand outside of just my norm of what I'm comfortable with. So I've bought in a bunch of Pendleton scraps that are remnants from another lady that sews different items. And so I just created a little purse that it's pretty basic beginner pattern, but I wanted to get down the top stitch, the right needle, the right thread before I dive right into like a huge big bag. So right here is the purse I created. It's just a pretty basic, simple black vinyl with Pendleton, and then I bought these zippers from this lady, and so that's kind of like the kicker on some of my bags, is these different novelty zippers. Hold on, let me see. So there's a front pocket right here with the cotton lining, and then the inside has a different fabric, and there's also an inside pocket. Wow. And so what I struggled with was this top stitch here, and so I got a different needle, I got some thicker thread, and so it's just kind of a work in progress. It's a pretty basic bag, but that's what I got. And here's my tub of scraps that I just been picking through. There's still quite a bit left, which I'd like to start making jackets. And so I think once I get the right needle and thread and tension, like I'll be able to go for it. So this is pretty beginner for me, but I think pretty soon I'll be creating some pretty cool pieces.
Wow.
And so that's what I have.
That's amazing. That looks amazing. That looks really cool. So it's actually quite hard for me to see. Hold on. I mean, wow, that's really amazing. that looks really professional and really cool. That's all upcycled fabrics then? Like offcuts and stuff?
Yeah, this lady makes these where you put your baby in, those holders. She makes Pendleton covers with them, so the baby can put a hood on top of it when they're walking if it's really cold weather. And so these are just remnants from her scraps, so all of it is not like fresh off the bolt. Wow. But I did buy the vinyl and the zippers. Wow,
that I have to say, they look really cool. But I couldn't. You said there was like a problem with them, but I can't actually see what the problem is.
Yeah, I think from a distance you won't be able to see it. What I was having a problem with is the skip stitches, and so it was like skipping a little bit. And so I actually went back over it about 3 times, and then on the back I pulled the threads in the back and tied them. So you really can't.
Is that because it's so thick? Is it because it's so thick? Yeah. So this machine's just struggling with it a bit.
I have a question about your vinyl, the issue that you're talking about. Do you have a walking foot with your machine?
Yeah, I got a walking foot, but it just seems still pretty thick for that as well. The walking foot.
Do you do a test like on another piece of vinyl before you try and sew it on the actual purse, or do you just jump in on the purse?
Well, I did initially just jump in, and so I have about 5 of them sitting here with like a couple of skip stitches. And so I was like, all right, I gotta slow down, get this tension, the needle and the thread and the right foot correct. And once I get that down, I think I'll be able to finish the rest of them. But that was the main thing. And so I asked on some of the sewing groups, like, how do I fix these issues? And so I got a bunch of good tips on that.
What are some of the tips? Because I've had trouble sewing not as much the leathers, but the vinyls. I've had the same kinds of problems. So what are some of the tips you've gotten?
A lot of them said, like with like right here, you'll see this, you want to have a wider stitch of like 4 maybe when you're working with vinyl for your tops. Yeah, longer stitch.
Yeah.
A longer stitch, like maybe a size 16 or 18 heavy duty needle or a microtex needle. And then also, if it's not too thick, you could use a walking foot. And
Can I say something? Sometimes what I've found works, because some of my kids sometimes want to stitch some leather or something, and what I've done is I get flour and rub it onto the flour, onto the leather or the pleather, whatever, and that seems to help it sew over it. You know, like bread flour.
Have you tried a silicone foot? It seems like that might do the same thing as the flower technique. Only I like the flower better because you don't have to have one more thing to do it.
Yeah, that works pretty good as well too when I'm going over the top. And sometimes, and then I'll use that one on the zippers because it's a little bit narrower to go through them. So it's kind of a trial and error. Everyone has different machines, but I found that the right needle and the right thread is pretty key, I guess.
Yeah.
And what kind of thread were you using that was working?
I'm not sure the name or the brand. I just had a box my sister gave me from her house, and it was just a lot thicker than what I've initially been using, the polyester.
I wanted to just say that I really love your linings, the fact that the front pocket had a different lining than the inside added that much more element. I feel like your detail work and this concern over getting the stitching right is just excellent. I feel like it's a good place to have your attention on the bag. That's something that people want to see with a small item like that. And I just love your zippers, and I'm a big fan.
Thank you. I'll show you a few more real quick. So these are the ones that I'm buzzing for. So there's these. The Yoda is a big thing right now. And then here's the lining. And for the lining, I'll do a size 3 zipper, and then the top zipper, main zippers, I'll do a size 5. And then so I've just been kind of interchanging so I'll have different Pendleton and then vinyl with different zipper pulls, and then different kind of linings that accent them. So just got a few going out, and even like these basic beginner bags of just like sewing little side crossbodies. So I've been keeping pretty busy, but once I get this stitch down, I think I'll be good.
Well, I love your brand is also really clear. That's another thing I notice about you. Have you thought about where you're going to sell these yet?
I think I'm going to sell them. They sell pretty quickly. I've just been selling them on Facebook so far, and there's
I imagine they sell very quickly.
Yeah, there's a list of people waiting for these to like come out, but I'm not trying to rush them. I really want to get these top stitches really nice, and so my work will be known as like quality and it'll last. So it's not like I got these really pretty purses, but they fell apart really quick.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm at with the purses.
It's a good philosophy, because then people will, when they need a present or gift for someone, they're going to come back for more. So yeah, I mean, they look amazing. I'm loving the color, the print clashes and things there as well. I think yeah, I think it's a great product.
Thank you. Yeah, they're pretty basic, like patterns, beginner patterns, but I think as time progresses, I'll move on to more advanced patterns.
Funny that you keep saying they're very basic. And I am sure we're all sitting here going, no, it's not basic.
So that's what I had to share today.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, Amanda, that our theme for this particular review is accessories. That was what we were sort of focusing on this time, except Denese, who was focusing on swimsuit from last time. Or I don't know, maybe she's been making accessories. She's always making tons of stuff. Let's go to Denese. She's sort of next up for review, if that's okay. Did I miss anything that anybody wants to say about Mersaedy's work?
Other than it's gorgeous.
Amazing.
So much fun to see.
Totally agree. That purse is gorgeous. I love it.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, Denese, yeah, tell us what you've been up to.
I've been up trying to line that swimsuit, but not much luck. But I have accessories already that I've made, like masks and various hats, and they're pretty wild. I was working on the next challenge. I figured this is going to take me a while, especially if I have to crochet the plarn and knit the plarn and melt the plarn and all that fun stuff. Anyway, so that's kind of it. I'm working on a mother-in-law wedding dress. I figured I would be able to meet every challenge you got going at this point, because this would be like, I'm thinking this is a good hat for a mother-in-law thing.
That looks amazing from here, but you're all in shadow. I can't see it very well, but I can see the shape looks
I'm
amazing.
having a real hard time.
Well,
Anyway.
Denese is brand new to our group, and some of us have figured out the lighting piece already. And I'll shut up, Denese, so she can see, talk, and then show her.
Yeah, well, this is sort of it's plastic recycled bags.
Wow,
Crocheted.
that is
I
cool.
made a hat, and this is a flower that I crocheted out of twine, blue recycled twine, and blue color is so hard to find.
That's so cool. I love it. Amazing.
Yeah. And I've been making masks.
Wow.
Various kinds of masks.
Wow. Is that woven? Have you woven fabric for that?
No, I haven't woven yet, but I've heard of it. This is all crocheted so far.
It's crochet.
I've tried knitting.
But it's plastic bags that she's made.
Oh yeah, plastic bags.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
her brand is working with plastics. So she's all working with yarn and plastics, and she does really editorial runway pieces.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a bag,
Amazing
bag.
I love it.
Anyway,
Wow.
and I got dresses, and I got a couple of coats.
Amazing.
And swimsuit.
Okay, so Denese, I want to back up and talk just a little bit, because you threw a bunch of topics at us and then didn't go into depth there. So tell us about the swimsuit lining and why you're having a difficult time lining it, what things you've tried and what's not working, and just tell us so that we know in case we ever work with plastics ourselves.
Well, plastic has a stretch to it. So I've got a stretch to the knit that I've knitted. And so I thought I'd line it with like a swimsuit fabric. Wow. Or an old swimsuit bottom. I've actually made a pattern out of it. So at this point I can line it like a real swimsuit once I get the fabric together.
I'm loving the sound of it.
And I gotta line the bra and around the waist, because that's gonna touch the body. And I thought I'd sort of line the lava thing halfway so that you could wrap it around your waist and tie it without it burning you.
Wow. I'd love to see it.
So with your masks, now just jumping on to the, why don't you, can you bring the swimsuit and show us what you've done on it so far?
Well, not much.
She had it up on a mannequin last time, Amanda, so we got a little sneak peek.
Yeah. I don't know, can you see it?
We can. The more you stand in front of that window and block the light out, the easier it is to see what's at the computer. Yeah.
There's the top.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
And this is the lava.
Oh, wow.
So a
How cute.
lava is a skirt thing that ties around outside.
Yeah, that ties on the side.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very Hawaiian.
Okay. Amazing, really.
And then the bottom, here's the bottom. I've been knitting it.
Amazing. That's so pretty. Wow.
So
that's you're going to put lining in that.
Yeah. So it's shaped.
How cool.
You want it more shaped, you know?
So how do you, what's the is that the pattern, the paper that you had it?
Yeah, this is a pattern that I just remembered and knitted out of my head that I've made for this guy who kept making these swimsuits for his wife. I made 100 of these darn things.
Oh,
so I have a question. I'm just going to ask a tech question I want to experiment with. Is there anywhere by that windowsill that you could put your tablet so the light from the window is on you? Like if you turn around?
That's a good thought. I'll try that.
Just experiment with it when we get a little
we
go to someone else. But so you also talked about your masks, and I wonder what those are lined with and how what is your process of lining those?
I do recycled cotton. So I just line them. It's 3 layers because I have melted plastic behind them as well. Not bad, huh?
Not bad. Why do you melt the plastic?
Well, sometimes you get it flatter and it sticks together and you get a different effect.
And how do you know how much heat to put on it so that it doesn't destroy it?
Well, that's a good question. Basically, I use an iron.
And you used a paper to melt it between, or do you put the iron right on the plastic?
Parchment paper.
Okay.
Parchment paper. And I'll do a couple layers, and sometimes you burn holes in it. Sometimes you can't get it melted. Sometimes I end up using the hot glue gun.
I love the craft of this. This is like an amazing craft, a really amazing craft. You know, I bet you could make an incredible wedding dress.
Oh yeah, I've done a couple of those. Not really big fancy ones, but I've done some fluffy stuffed skirts, and I've done a whole crocheted wedding dress out of crocheted this stuff.
Wow.
Just yards of crocheted yarn.
That's plastic. That's plastic as well, is it?
This is blue and white plastic bags.
Amazing. It looks so pretty.
Yeah, that's my problem.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this I've been crocheting for decades, but I've been doing the plastic for about 2 years, I think.
Okay. Oh, it really is amazing. I love it.
Staci probably knows better than I do. I've just been busy creating.
You're doing well, yeah.
Thanks.
That's fabulous. Any other questions or comments from the group about, I think we know that Denese's goal is to do a big runway show and that everything sort of fits into that, but any comments or suggestions or other things?
Hey, I'm looking to sell those hats. I got all kinds of crazy hats, and they're all individual, even if they look the same, and they stretch, and you can turn them inside out and you got another hat.
Wow.
Which is kind of fun.
So inspiring.
So where do you have them? You know, if you wanted to sell them, have you got like amazing photographs you've had taken? Because that's the thing, you need to get amazing photographs taken. That's
Stacy's
everything.
been lovely. She's been taking photographs, but she's about my best photographs I've had. I've been in a magazine once.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Teen Talk or something like that.
You were in Tear Sheet too. The editorial ones I took with Kim were in.
Good. People have loved those photos. People have said that doesn't look like it's recycled anything, and then I'm lying. So I've had to kind of use a little more of the recycle thought into it, you know, leave some things behind, a few holes or something.
Yeah,
your stuff is incredible. So Maria has showed up here. You haven't met Maria yet, Amanda, but she's going to be the next designer that we review. So Maria, say hi and meet Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Maria. Nice to meet you too.
Okay, so there I go with my presentation. Let's see, share screen. This is, I think it's our fourth challenge. And I decided I saw this belt in a magazine and I took a picture of it. And then let's see, when was it? 2019, I went to New York to have a photo shoot. And one of the designers brought that white belt. The stylish brought the white belt, and I decided that I wanted to do something like that. So I took some pictures, and just from the pictures, I did my pattern, I did my flat drawings, and I think I quite don't remember how I got the leather, if I bought it in New York or somebody gave it to me. Because when I went to New York in 2019, I got so many things from the store. And especially things that I don't get in like Goodwill recycling stuff. So anyway, I cut the pattern. I had a few problems of cutting it, even though I used the right tools, all the cutting tools for leather, but I guess the pulse of, I don't know, I'm not used to cutting the pressure, so I went over it, like you see in one of them where my finger is. I cut a little over that I was supposed to, and then it was kind of hard sewing the leather with a regular sewing machine, even though it did pretty good. But since my leather has like a rough bottom, and it looks like a felt, more or less. So it has like a little hairs, and it was getting stuck. So my stitches, some of them, they were big, and some of them, they were good. So I think, especially when I try to sew straight, like when you sew a dress, then sometimes it was getting stuck and getting me small stitches. So I don't know if you can see in that little corner, it has small stitches and then big stitches. So, and then you see how I overcut, or it went, it's really sharp, the cutting knife that I was using to cut the leather. And as you can see, in one of the corners just went over. So I have to practice more about it. And then I had, in order to locate the belt and to sew over, I had to use a leather tape, so it won't move. So this is my final results. I never worked with leather in my life. This is my first thing, but I think I did a little bit too long, the bottom part of the belt. And see, you can see it's just a raw leather. Yeah, and then the one that I saw had a leather tie, but to me, a leather tie is too much to work and hard to work with. So I used a ribbon, and this is my final result.
Okay.
And I have it in here if you want to see it.
Yeah, that looks nice at the back.
Yeah. See, like right here, I was sewing straight, and then all of a sudden, it went a little down, and I have the big stitches and the small stitches. So I guess if you work with leather, you need to get a leather, especially for stitching, unless you want to do it with an owl and make holes and then sew it by hand like this.
Maybe that's when you can use, like I use, I find that putting just a little bit of flour onto the leather, it doesn't stick anymore. It goes over it, and then afterwards a stiff brush, and then brush the flour off.
I had a roller foot for the top part, but it was kind of sticking in the bottom. So that's where I should put that flour.
Maybe, I mean, give it a try. I mean, it's just my way that I've found it does tend to help, but you know, you don't want to get flour inside your machine and stuff, so don't use too much.
Could be paper. I was thinking that I should have done, like sometimes when you sew other type of materials, that you use really fine paper to put on the bottom. But
yeah, you can use baking paper, I think, or tissue paper, can't you? Yeah.
That one, yeah. But I did it, and I really like it.
Yeah, this is the first one you've ever made, right?
It's the first one, very first one that I made. I never done work with leather.
Amazing.
In my life.
Wow.
I think the ribbon was a great choice. I think that looks a lot nicer than if you were doing it with leather too. It gives it a femininity, which contrasts nicely with the leather.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like a luxury touch on that.
Can we see it? Because I'm not really seeing what you're showing because you're still sharing screen, so you're just a little bitty screen.
Okay, let's see. Can you see it? Let me turn on the lights.
If you stop the screen share, then we'll be able to see it and a big picture of it.
Well, I'm gonna stop the screen. Escape. How do you do this?
I have a question about the pattern too.
Okay, hold on. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I think if we go back and see the picture, after I did the pattern, then I realized that this much, more or less this much is, so I did it a little bigger.
Yeah.
And I think this will help to get your tummy in place. And here is the kind of creating, you know, how some designers, they do those jackets or coats with bigger hips.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So yeah, this is kind of give the illusion of a.
But that's the back, right? I kind of like that as the front.
Yeah.
You can use it back or front. I mean,
Maria, when you turn it around, I don't know if I saw the pattern completely, but if you were to twirl the thing around and the seam where the peplum meets the waistband, is that whole top length where that seam where the peplum, where it's taped, where the peplum meets the waistband?
Yeah, I put the leather tape in it, and I sewed.
Is the peplum straight crossed on the pattern right there, or does it have a curve?
No, it's straight.
I think if you had put a little bit of a curve in that, you would have gotten a little more flow like the New York ones, just a little bit.
Oh yeah, give a little curve here.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. So you mentioned leather tape, which I've never heard about before. What does leather tape do? Is it like a finish for a seam?
It's a double side tape, like when you maybe use to do your any other thing that you want to do for hemming or whatever to hold it in place, and then you sew over. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a stabilizing for sewing kind of thing.
Exactly. Yes, 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 yes. Yep.
This is just a side note, but Denise, we can see you way better now. So that's a much improvement when you're showing us your pieces next time.
Yeah, and this, you know, I made the, one of my pieces is the blouse and the skirt.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah, I show you the blouse.
Wow.
And the skirt has a opening here. And it's
Nice.
lined.
It's the fabulous kind of work that we have come to expect from you. It's beautiful.
Amazing. Yeah.
It is. I mean, I like it just the way it is. I have a lot of hips, so this pattern works for me. I don't need any more.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
thank you. Yeah, I thought I was not gonna make it. It's like I had a dentist appointment that I couldn't reschedule. So, and I was like, oh, hurry up. And then all the traffic was slow. It's like, hurry up.
Well, we're so glad you made it here, and you were at a perfect time. We were just ready to go to you. And Amanda, we have one more designer that we want to review in detail, and then the other of us that have done things will just quickly show our photos. But Yanique is also going to kind of show us some more detail.
Oh, Denise, we see you better now. She's mute. We can hear you.
That's okay. It's
Okay, I make a lot of noise.
Oh, that's better.
Now we can see you perfect.
okay.
Oh, good.
Any final comments from Maria before we go on to Yanique?
I like
love
how you
that
put
design.
together the
Yeah.
whole outfit. It kind of all sums it up together with that blouse. Makes it look real like elegant.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Okay. Yanique, do you want to take things away?
Sure. Okay, so what I have a lot of, as do most people that sew, are scraps. So for this challenge, I decided to go in my scrap bin and kind of see what I can come up with. And so I made a pair of earrings, and these are button earrings. And then I made a necklace. So this necklace, I had this left over from when we did some electric work in our home. So this is what I used. And then I wrapped it for the necklace. And I really love it because then it makes the necklace so flexible. You know, I can do extras with it, for a show, or whatever. So yeah. And then
Lovely.
my bag skill is not as elegant as Mersaedy, but then I made, a nice little envelope bag, and it has an inner pocket. So that's my scraps. I went in, these are the scraps that I came up with, and I decided to see, let me just throw some, a nice, I guess it all works together. Nice scraps accessories. So that's
very cool.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Okay, so show us that little snake necklace in more detail. Put it up here. And tell us how you made it.
So what I did is I have this, and I have a candle. So I have this huge candle, and I was playing around. So I'm like, how do I do this? So I ended up doing, let me take this off a little bit. I ended up doing, so for the base, it was pretty simple, do it, and then got it together, got this part, cut it off. The cut was a challenge. So I cut it, and then
what tools did you use to cut it with?
I went in my husband's toolbox and found some stuff. So that I did that, and then for this, it was just a strip of fabric. So when I say scraps, like these are just like small scraps. So I got a strip of fabric, and then I used glue. So then what I did was I just pretty much just wrap the entire thing. And then once I wrapped it, I sprayed it with an acrylic spray, and then I covered it with a fabric stiffener. and then sprayed it. So I covered it with a fabric stiffener first to get it all nice. And then I sprayed it so it has this nice sheen. So it doesn't look like just fabric. And it's the same thing I did with the button earrings. I have a button maker. So I just popped a couple buttons, some fabric, and sprayed them as well. So they had a nice sheen.
Very cool. Love it.
Yeah, elegant.
Amazing.
Wow, so you did a ton of pieces. So how did you finish the ends on that? What's the end look like of those? Is it just a folded over fabric on the end?
So for the ends, I folded first before I started wrapping. So it got that nice tuck. And then I did the same with the end. So I tucked it and then I folded it over and sealed it.
Yanique, with all of your fashion shows and things like that, are you used to making accessories?
Yes, I do make accessories for shows.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It suits you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for an occasion to wear it.
Ingenious.
So this, I mean,
It's ingenious. Everything can be used.
this may be the only occasion I get to wear it, but I'm glad I got to wear it.
I just think I think we were all completely impressed when you showed us your raw materials for it. That's the coolest thing about it. But it's also very on brand for you, just that you're using those bright prints again, and it has that Jamaican feel, and it's just really, really cool.
Mhm.
I love how you could change that up and like change the shapes or whatever and do like runway pieces. And I feel like you could wear that anywhere. I was totally admiring it before you spoke. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you made that. That's so cool.
I was totally admiring it too. It's like a real standout piece. And I was just thinking, God, she's just so cool and hip.
That'd be amazing with a black dress, actually, to show it off, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Nice black dress, yeah.
One day when the world is back to normal, I look forward to wearing it.
Yeah. And you can do the matching bracelets as well with that.
Yes. What my intention was to use, because I've done where I've used recycled plastic bottles to make my bracelets. So I cut the bottle, especially the medicine ones, like the protein ones. I use those and I'll cut it to make a broad bracelet. So I think hopefully I can find some scraps to match this, and I'll probably just try that out and get a whole thing to go.
Cool.
Super cool. Okay. So we have a few minutes left. So if Elena, did you do anything?
I did. I actually started with what I started in mind with, like thinking about my brand and what I needed. And then I ended up like testing it. I got that bag. I actually did a PowerPoint, but it has sound and it's 2 minutes.
Okay, why don't you I'm sorry, you've got a beautiful PowerPoint. You and I'll we'll figure out the tech on that and I'll record it later, but why don't you show us what you've done?
Okay, well, shoot. Okay, so let me, I can show you.
Physically? Can you go get it and just show us?
Well, you remember that when I did Word before, I could just do the Word thing because I just collected some of the pictures, so I could just do that. It's not
Sure, that would be super.
Okay, so you guys can see this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so basically I took that messenger bag out and tried it out because I figured, you know, as a caregiver, first and foremost, a lot of times I'm sitting outside medical appointments or whatever, and what can I do to support myself? And I got that bag given to me that had some damage, and then I was like, I need my tools, and so I brought stuff, and I'll sketch or paint or whatever, and then I have all these wet things because I have to go at a moment's notice when she's done. And so, you know, so I was like, I need something to hold that stuff that goes in the bag. So I made like an artist's roll, I guess is what, you know, where you put your paintbrushes and your like watercolor pencils. So I gathered materials for that and the tools that I need to fit in there so I could figure out how big I needed it. Obviously the cat took this challenge very seriously.
Do you have a picture of what the bag looked like before you started messing with it?
Well, it was the same blue messenger bag, but this basically is something that goes in it because I was like, you know, the bag is structurally sound at the moment. So what I was realizing was I was going to start with the biggest need. Like
Is that the one, when you're talking about the bag, is it the one on the mannequin behind you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the denim bag. So this was made so it fits in there nicely. It just slides in and it can hold like my longest paintbrushes. and my colored pencils. So, okay, so there's the materials I found.
So like Anne was talking about the bag that goes inside a bag sort of thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I purposely, this is a finished seam, but I actually folded it back to have the rough edge because it felt too neat to me, and I'm kind of looking forward to it getting stained by colors. So it's easier to show you the pockets on the back because the thread blends in. So I did several 1 inch, and then I did a couple 2 inch because I have some thicker stuff, and then some of them are shorter. I'm debating on seam ripping a hole on these because I like the rough edge idea on the lower part to put pins, but I'm kind of weighing that out because it'll fall apart quicker. So that's how that looks.
That's so pretty.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to all this getting stained. Actually, I was like, what fabric do I with that? And this is like a duck fabric, like, you know, for trench coats that was left over. A piece here, and this was just like a random piece. And this was off of that was elastic from a blanket or something that we got. So anyway, so that's how that looks. And then this flips over. It's a little longer on this side because the shorter pockets, these guys are lower, whereas the brushes need more space up here. So then rolling it doesn't roll quite flat. So it rolls up and the elastic goes over and then it fits in there. So I'll probably do more. I didn't add the pink trim yet because I'm not entirely sure I want it. And then I might do some free stitching on the flap going over. But I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of excited about the paint colors.
I have a question about the flap going over. Now, does it push against your brushes at all? Like, is it going to smush the top of the brushes parts down, or is it?
They're in there now. So,
so it just depends where you want to fold it then. It doesn't need to.
Yeah. And I didn't do this elastic to be really tight because I don't want it smushing everything as much as I just want it holding it so it doesn't unravel. So it's a little bit loose. You just flip it over the top. And I'm not having any issue with it because of the spacing of the pockets really helps to give it enough space. And then I fold the top down loosely. It's not, you know, it's not meant to be super snug as much as just a protection. So I'm not getting it all over the bag or other things.
It's so cool. It reminds me of, I'll shut up. You go first.
Is that me? I think that is such a cool product. I love it. I really love it. And I can imagine that, you know, particularly if that's made in upcycled materials, which easily it can be, then I imagine there's a lot of artists that would actually want one of those.
I could think there's a lot of 9 to 11-year-olds that could think that's pretty cool.
And also makeup artists, you know, for their brushes too. I really like it. It's so cool. It was a really cool product. It's really commercial, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a very marketable product. As I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I have like Ziploc bags with all my stuff because I do the same thing that she does, like where I'm sitting, I can create and I have them in Ziploc bags and I'm thinking, this is excellent.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, because I actually had to because I had the watercolor pencils, right? So they're all wet. And I was sketching and like that last picture, which you guys didn't see anyway, at the last picture of the PowerPoint was something I was sketching with them. And then I had all these wet pencils and so I had to set them up somewhere in the car so they weren't getting all over everything and hope we didn't bump into them. So this way it's like, I'm totally fine with this getting stained. It's just going to look cooler as it goes. It can wash if I'm bothered by it. But you could do scissors or, you know, whatever you need to do, you know.
Oh, can you stop screen share so we can see your face again?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's cool.
So anyway, that was, and I also was like restructuring my space and realizing, you know, because I kind of was like, started to take things a little more seriously and I was like, I need certain tools to be able to do this. So that's kind of how I ended up there.
You can use Velcro for a closing too.
Oh yeah, that would work.
Velcro.
Yeah,
so
I had a question.
Nicely tied, and it won't give as much as elastic, you know.
Right.
I have a question. I heard Amanda say it could be made out of upcycled materials, but it is, isn't it?
Yeah, these are all like remnants or thrifted, but and this is an especially. I did see like there are some people that sell these, but they're much smaller, and I had like 30 items I needed to bring. So I figured out how many I needed to bring and made it for what I wanted. And some of them are short and some of them are long. So I kind of did something for
It
me.
really does seem really
So-
commercially viable. I just applaud, because I think that it's great that we're making things, but if they can live in the world and work for other people, I just think it's that much more wonderful.
That's kind of, I start there because I figure like if it doesn't work for me, then I know it needs to be revisited. But if I live with it and it works, then I go, okay, then it's worth trying that out for someone else, you know.
Super
But
cool.
I probably, because I'm not a trained sewer, I think I overstitch everything. Like everything's double stitched or more. It's 2 layers of the duck fabric behind it. Like it's gonna last, because I was like, I'm gonna truck this thing around. I'm gonna be at the park. I'll be at the beach. You know, wherever it needs to survive. So yeah.
We have to think whenever we do something, this I don't know, maybe is a way I've been taught, that whenever you get or acquire something, it's gonna be forever, because we don't you don't know if you're gonna have money to buy it again, or if it's gonna be on the market. So it's good to double stitch. My cousin always complains with me, because she's the one, if I did something wrong, I give it to her to undo it. She goes, oh my God.
A cousin like that.
She goes, oh my God, because she told me that for her it's therapy when I start undoing something, right? So I said, you undo it. So, and she goes, you sew it like it's gonna never blow up like those. I know. I said, yeah, because you need to sew in a way that is gonna last, is gonna get stitched forever.
And did you also made something this time, right?
No, I had an idea. I did not. We're planning a trip, and yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure that we're checking in with anyone. Did I forget anybody here? I'll show you guys really briefly what I did. We don't need to talk about it. I will be making a long PowerPoint about it, or a Google slide at some point, and I'll post it in our Facebook group so you can see more detail if you want. But first, did I forget anybody?
While you find that, I was going to ask Amanda, what was the book writing experience like?
Actually, I've got my book here. Look, I've got one behind me. I can show it to you.
I'm sharing screen, so we can't actually see your book right now. Let's come
sorry.
back to that. Okay, so quickly, this is what my flaxseed cooling hat looks like from the front. And this is what it looks like from the side, and this is what it looks like from the back. And these are what I tried snaps and I tried Velcro. So there's 2 different sweatbands that are washable that I made. One is snaps and one's Velcro. And so that's what I did. And I will unshare screen so Amanda
can. Professional.
Wow.
And that's my muslin, because there's actually some stains, but I did not get as far as making, and there was a lot to work out. And I'm now ready to make one for real. And then I'll have my muslin and my real one, and I can test them out this summer. And I'll let you guys know how it goes.
Wow.
Wait, can you show us again?
Oh,
I wanted to see, because
the hat,
do the hat bands that you said, and also the visor part. That turned out really nice.
Yeah, so let's see the I don't know if I took pictures of the inside. Whoops,
is there anything in those sweatbands, or is it just
they have plastic from a pre-washed salad bin, lettuce bins. So I just used some clear plastic to hold them in shape.
Yeah.
And I did take pictures of the inside of the hat, but I failed to email them to myself and put a little PowerPoint presentation. But I promise you guys,
the hat? I like when you see from the side. It's a quilted. Have you used something quilted for that?
So it has channels of flaxseed, which retains heat and cool. So you could stick it in the microwave in the winter and warm your head, but it's kept in the freezer. So like if you have a hot flash, woo, or say you're a college kid, there's no AC in your car, and it retains the cool. You'll feel the cool for about 10 or 15 minutes, and it retains it for about 40. So it's the idea behind it is cool the person, heat the person, not the house and building. We're being very inefficient in how we approach heating and cooling. So it's time to start thinking about how can we make our clothes do some of this work. And it's a low-tech, futuristic solution.
I like that. No, that's brilliant.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about your book, Amanda.
Well, it's not available anywhere. Well, actually, no, I have seen
Yeah,
it
it
places.
is. It's on
This was, is it back to front? So really, I mean, to be honest with you, I was approached to do this book in 2013. It took 2 years to put it together, with all the photographs and breaking down every single project so that a 9-year-old could work through it on their own. Basically, or a complete beginner. So it's basically what I'm doing now in video, but it was in book form. So it was a brilliant experience to go through, and it was in lots of bookshops and on Amazon. And it came with a pattern sheet as well, pattern sheet and logos and things for kids. So it's basically lots of just sort of creative ways of how kids and teens can upcycle at home. Personally, I felt it was a little bit too soon to do it because people really weren't switched on to upcycling as much as they are now. But anyway, it was done, and it seemed to go down quite well at the time. So yeah, no, it was good, but it was a lot of work. It really was a lot of work. But it's nice to have done that, you know, and it's all my students that appear in the book, in the stuff that they've made. So it was a good, yeah, it was a good thing to do. But
so in terms of your brand, you have the book that you've written, which is Fashion Factory, but Fashion Rebellion is your YouTube channel, or did you switch to a different YouTube channel?
So it's been, so Fashion Factory are my actual physical workshops and classes. And then because I am part of Extinction Rebellion. When I you know what that is, yeah? Oh no, you don't know what that is. So Extinction Rebellion is environmental activism here in the UK, and we do things like spray paint on roads and try not to get arrested. But it's environmental activism, basically, protest and things like that. So at the time, I wanted to take my business online as well. So Fashion Rebellion is the online Fashion Factory, because when I created Fashion Factory 12 years ago, I wanted it sort of like lots of different people coming in and making things like Andy Warhol's The Factory in a way. So that's why I called it that. But Fashion Rebellion just seemed more appropriate because it is actually a rebellion against the fashion industry. When you make your own stuff, when you repair your own stuff, when you upcycle your own stuff, it is an act of protest. So and I just thought it was a better name to get it out there online. You know,
and you're still actively, and that's where you're posting most of your YouTube videos now, or?
You know what, the whole YouTube thing,
yeah, tell us about
I never
that,
really wanted to do that. I never really wanted to do that. But when lockdown hit the UK last year, on March 20th, on March 24th, I said to my son, let's get a webcam. I just need to make a video of a face mask, because I did a load of research about the best face mask that you could make at home from stuff you already have, instead of buying disposables. So I did this 55-minute long thing in one take of how to make one, and then lots of the newspapers, they put a whole page on it, and so it got a lot of press. So that's when then I thought, okay, so I'll put a few more things. I haven't been very good at sort of putting more stuff up on that channel, but I will be, because I'm busy making videos, but I will be adding to it. So I've got quite a few subscribers on there now, so I do need to add to it now and again. But well,
one conversation I'd love to have with you is we're trying to figure out where our videos make most sense, and I'm wondering if they would be good content for you, or if they're too far off. You're focused on educating kids, if they're too far off from that. Well,
maybe, you know, well, I mean, I'm quite happy. I mean, I think for me, kids are actually more fun to teach. Have done some adults, but I love the energy of kids. And also, you know, it's almost just sort of training a lot of them up for having their own, because you know, like Depop. Have you heard of Depop? Depop is a site. They're in 147 countries now, and it's a lot of, and they've got 2 physical stores in I think in LA now, Depop as well. And so it's all about selling secondhand, but it's kids doing it. So kids are really getting into this whole thing, saving the planet. So Depop
Isn't that the one, Elena, that you were telling me about last week that you sent me a link to?
Yeah, my daughter shops on there all the time.
Yeah. So so why was I mentioning Depop? Why did I come back?
Oh, because it's a kid-focused upcycling venue. Yeah,
kids, yeah. So for me, so that's really doing well. Depop, it's so huge now because kids are really thinking about saving the planet. So for me, you know, the adults are kind of a bit like, well, whatever, but kids are really they're being brought up with this stuff, you know, so and they're more receptive to it. So there's too many climate deniers out there for my liking in adult world.
All right, well, that it's been wonderful having you, and I hope this is the first of other conversations we'll have, but I feel like this just makes us a lot more real to each other than we're like swapping messages on YouTube. And I'm really excited about the work you're doing, and I'm also really excited about the work that my fellow designers are doing. I think
it's been so amazing. Yeah, it's been so amazing meeting you all and seeing all the fabulous things you're making. I mean, amazing, really. Yeah, really, really interesting. Some great stuff going on there. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's fun how different we all are from each other too. All right. Well, I want to say
such innovation. I love it.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to you, Amanda, for being here. And our next challenge is going to be in April, and we're going to be doing dress yourself in your brand. An example of that is Denese, and an example of that is Yanique. We're seeing a couple people in their brands already. It's a great thing to do, and we're going to have a little bit of break between now and then. To relax, but you are all invited to come to the next business meeting, which is going to be, we're moving it from Thursday to Wednesday at 11 a.m. So next week, 11 a.m. This is specifically for you guys to set goals in your own business. So if you want to come and set business goals for yourself, you are invited to. And next month, we'll also be having a business meeting for the group where we'll figure out how to spend our $200 in a way that can benefit all of us. Okay.
And just before Amanda leaves, I just wanted to tell you that I am so inspired by you because I'm moving back to Jamaica, and I've been thinking, how can I give back? And I already told the ladies, I prefer children too. I'm making children clothing all day long because they're so much easier. So that just inspired me to kind of come up with, I guess, a similar version of giving back that way of teaching children. And I love the upcycling because I remember my mom, she's a seamstress. So she'd cut off like the pants leg to turn into shorts for people. And then she'd use those pant leg to make skirts and clothes. So I love that concept. And I love the idea that I can actually put that into something to give back to my community. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, go for it. I mean, you're very welcome.
I can totally see Yanique, you doing something like that amazing in your back in your community where you're from. And I think that's just something that a lot of the youth would take on too as well. I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Thank you. Me too.
Watch the space, yeah.
Okay, well, awesome. And we're going to say goodbye to you, Amanda. We have a tiny bit of business to do on our own. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
Amanda.
Bye. Keep up the good work.